Detective James Anderson stopped the man who was leaving a clothing store. The sales assistant claims you've stolen some expensive gloves. These are my gloves, I've had them for ages. But the detective immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They are both for the same hand. A phone call woke Detective Anderson early in the morning. "My house has been burgled," Mr. Harrison shouted. When James arrived at the man's house, he heard the following story. "While I was away on business, my neighbor Adam was looking after my house." That's when Adam decided to chip in. "I heard some noise coming from Mr. Harrison's house yesterday. I came up to the window to check if everything was okay. It was very cold, and the window was completely frozen. I breathed on the glass to unfreeze it a bit and saw that everything inside was in a mess. I immediately called Mr. Harrison." "And now," Detective Anderson said, "tell us where the stuff you stole from your neighbor is." How did James understand Adam was guilty? Windows freeze from the inside, not outside. A rich man's wife disappeared from the hotel where she was staying. Detective Anderson had to inform and question her husband. He found the man on his own island. "I've been here for the last 2 months. I asked my family and staff not to come and distract me. I'm writing a book. And over the past several weeks, I've been working from early morning to late evening. I haven't even left this cabin." Anderson immediately understood the man was lying. How? There's only a thick notebook and a pen on the man's desk. If he had been writing as much as he claimed, the ink would have finished long ago. Mr. Dillon sold beautiful rare vases. There were dozens of them on the shelves of his store. One day the man called the police. When they arrived, the owner had his head bandaged. His store was a mess. "These guys ran into my store and grabbed the money and the most expensive vases. Then they hit me on the head and I blacked out." Detective Anderson immediately understood that Mr. Dillon was lying to get the insurance money. How did they figure it out? Even though most of the vases are on the floor, they aren't even cracked. But if the vases had fallen down from the shelves during the robbery, they would have been shattered. Janet called the police. "I was crossing the road when a car almost ran me down. I fell down and hit my head." When the police officers arrived at the place of the accident, Janet showed them the car that, as she thought, had almost hit her. The driver arrived at that moment. He denied doing it. Detective Anderson asked Janet to calm down. It really wasn't the car they needed to look for. How did he understand it? It was raining when Janet was crossing the road, but there's a dry spot under the man's car. It means it had been standing there for a long time and couldn't have hit Janet. Look at these two bloggers. As you can see, they both seem to be very popular. They also have the same amount of likes. But there's something wrong with one of them. She must be hiding something. What is it? The girl on the right is probably trying to save money at the moment. The logo on her bag looks like the Chanel logo, but it's written Gucci underneath. Detective Anderson was on a train. He had very nice fellow travelers. They were talking and laughing when the train entered a tunnel. Everything was plunged into darkness for several minutes. When the train left the tunnel, one of the passengers, Ella, exclaimed, "My diamond brooch! It's gone!" Everyone started talking nervously, looking at one another. That's when Anderson calmly said, "I know who took the brooch. I saw it." How could he see it? One of the travelers had a watch with luminous hands, and when this guy moved his hand to take the brooch, James noticed it. It was a scorching hot day when Larry made a bet with his friends. The guy told them that water produced by different companies tastes different too. At that time, they were chilling in the garden of one of Larry's friends, drinking water and lemonade. "You can blindfold me. I'll take a sip from 2 bottles of water, the one we have on the table and the one you'll bring from the kitchen." I noticed it was another producer. I bet I'll be able to tell the difference. Then he did exactly that. His friends were ready to give Larry the money he had won, but Detective Anderson, yep, he was there too, cut in. "You were cheating," he said. Why did he think so? It was an extremely hot day. No wonder the water that had been outside for several hours was much warmer than the water brought from the kitchen. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story. "I work in a museum. Yesterday I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research. But then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I came to my senses, the books were gone." Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. Detective Anderson was walking along the river when he heard someone screaming. It was a young woman. She was drowning. James immediately left his shoes and backpack on the ground and dove into the water. Luckily, he was in time. When James was pulling the woman out of the river, he saw a passerby standing next to his stuff. Unfortunately, I can't swim, but I looked after your things," the man said. "Then why did you rummage in my backpack?" James asked. How did he understand someone had opened his backpack? When he dropped the bag on the ground, the zipper was on the left side, but now it's on the right. Detective Anderson found out a smuggler was going to leave the country through the largest airport in the city. He arrived there and detained 3 suspects. Look at them and try to figure out who the smuggler is. It's the 3rd passenger. His suitcase is full of totally random stuff. Women's shoes, some rugs, old dirty jeans, a wig. Plus, when closed, the suitcase looks much larger than when it's open. Detective Anderson's friend, Jose, hurt his knee while playing frisbee. The doctor let the guy stay at home, but by no means was he allowed to get up from his bed. Anderson was also there, and he promised the doctor to look after his friend. But at some point, he had to go away for several hours. He asked his sister Sarah to take care of Jose. When James returned, Sarah told him Jose had followed the instructions and had been sleeping for the whole day. But when Anderson entered his friend's room, he immediately realized the man had gotten up. How did he understand this? Jose moved his bedside lamp from the desk to his nightstand and plugged it in. Detective Anderson's sister, Sarah, was married to Michael, a professional cyclist. One Saturday morning, James came to visit them and noticed that everyone was extremely nervous. It turned out Michael was going to have a challenging cycling tournament. "I promise I'll bring you the bouquet they give to the winner," Michael told Sarah. 4 hours later, he indeed came back with beautiful flowers. But James realized right away Michael hadn't won the tournament. How? The flowers are actually from Sarah's garden. Detective Anderson was driving along a dangerous mountain road. Suddenly, he hit the brakes. He saw a man sitting on the side of the road crying. It turned out the man didn't manage to control his car. It fell off the road and the man got thrown out of the window. Right now, his very expensive vehicle was beyond repair. "Could you be my witness when I prepare the documents for my insurance company?" James agreed, but asked the man to show him what was inside the car. The man took the key out of his pocket and unlocked the damaged vehicle. "I won't take part in this fraud," Detective Anderson said. Why did he think the man was lying? If the man had been thrown out of the car, the key would still be in the ignition. Detective Anderson's friend Hannah called him and asked the man to visit her. She said it had to do with her husband, Martin. "He told me he had to go on a business trip to the mountains. He didn't really want to go there because he hates cold weather. But he had to, so we packed tons of warm clothes and left. When Martin arrived there, he sent me a photo from his hotel room. I feel something's wrong with this picture, but what exactly?" Anderson needed no more than a glance at the photo, and he realized Martin had indeed lied to his wife. How did he figure it out? There are palm trees outside the window. Those trees don't grow in cold climates. Oh boy, William got inside a cave during an archaeological expedition. There were 3 ways out, however, only one of them was safe. His map said that behind the first way out there was a pond that swallowed everything in. The second way out led to dangerous dinosaurs that would eat him alive. The third way out led to an erupting volcano. Which way was safe? The second one, because the dinosaurs went extinct many years ago. You're running away from a pack of zombies and come across 3 doors. Behind the first one, there's raging fire. Behind the second one, there's a lake of water. Behind the third one, there's a venomous snake. Which way would you choose? I'd recommend to choose the second one and swim away. It's just a lake. You can do it. During his vacation in the jungles, Aiden was caught by some tribe. They tied him up and said they'd push him into one of the 3 pits of his choice. The first pit was filled with zombies. The second one, there was raging fire. The third one was filled with huge pitcher plants. Which pit should Aiden pick? He should choose the third one. The pitcher plants only eat insects. They're not dangerous for people. Aston reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Aston to tell him what happened. He said that he walked into his room and saw someone getting out of his window. They must have heard him walking inside the house. Then he checked his desk and found that his money had been stolen. Detective Callum asked if Aston had touched anything else, and the man said he hadn't. Detective Callum closed the case and refused to proceed. Can you guess why? The robber wouldn't get out of the window without stepping on the bed. However, the bed was perfectly made, and Aston said he hadn't touched it. It means there was no robber. Waverly was an archaeologist looking for a pirate treasure. In one of the caves on a deserted island, she finally found it. There were 3 chests, and one of them was filled with gold and gems. However, if she picked one of the wrong chests, terrible things would happen to her. Luckily, there were statements on each of them, but only one of these statements was true. 1. The treasure is in this chest. 2. The treasure isn't in this chest. 3. The treasure isn't in chest number 1. Which of the chests has the treasure? Let's solve it step by step. If the first statement is true, then the treasure must be in the first chest, and the other statements must be false. In this case, the second statement is also correct, so that was a wrong guess. If the second statement is true, then the treasure isn't in the first chest. The treasure isn't in the second chest either, just like it says. Then it must be in the third one. However, this makes the third statement correct too, although it shouldn't be. If the third statement is true, then from the first statement that is wrong, you can conclude that there's no treasure in the first chest. Since the second one is wrong too, then the treasure must be there. Now there's no contradictions, and the treasure is in the second chest. Whew, Does anybody else have chest pains? Just me? Okay. Skylar and Amelia are pen pals. Skylar said that her birthday was in winter, and Amelia said that hers is in summer. However, a couple of months later, they both had their birthday on the same day. Still, none of them lied. How is it possible? They live in different hemispheres. When it's wintertime in the US, it's summer in Australia, and vice versa. Mrs. Fitz came back from work and found that her favorite cup was broken. She asked her daughters who had done it. Katie said, "It wasn't me." Serena said, "It wasn't me either." Hannah said, "It was Serena." Mrs. Fitz knew her daughters well, and she could tell what happened. Only one of the girls was telling the truth. Can you guess who broke the cup? If Katie tells the truth, then firstly, it wasn't her who broke the cup. Secondly, the other two girls are lying. Serena is lying, so you can conclude it was her. But then Hannah is right, and that's a contradiction. Let's say Hannah is right. Then it was Serena who broke the cup, and Serena is lying. But then Katie is telling the truth too when she says it wasn't her. So Serena is telling the truth. She says it wasn't her, so you can trust her. And Katie and Hannah are lying. Katie says it wasn't her, so it was her. And Hannah says it's Serena, which is a lie. So Serena is the honest girl, and Katie is the guilty one. Hannah is just a liar. Esme was on her casual walk in the forest, and she didn't get lost this time. Here it was, her way home. But the other one was away to the witch's house. After a bit of thinking, Esme decided she had to say hi to her old friends and visit the witch. The witch said she didn't have a riddle for her that day, and Esme was free to go. But Esme had one. She said if the witch got it wrong, Esme would take her cat. Dear witch, imagine you're in a dark room. How can you get out? She mustn't imagine that. Spoiler, the witch got it and kept the cat. Next time, Esme. A police officer was walking in a neighborhood and stopped one gentleman. He asked him what the man was doing, and he said that he had just left his house to go to the grocery store. However, the officer didn't believe him and arrested the man. Why? Look, it's snowing, and there are fresh footprints on the snow that lead out of the window. House owners usually use the front door to walk out of the house, so this one must be a burglar. Bryce was a grumpy old gentleman who didn't like some teenagers walking past his house. So once, he decided to report them so they'd never be allowed to get close to him anymore. He called the authorities and told them that he was having tea on his terrace, and those teenagers threw a baseball at him. Luckily, the baseball flew above him. However, the detective didn't believe it had happened at all. Why? Take a look at the terrace. It's all made of glass. Bryce's place is right next to a window. If the baseball had flown right above him, as he said, it would have broken the glass. Thomas was collecting action figures. Some of them he got from his grandfather. They were super rare, and his collection of more than 500 figures was worth about $1 million. One day he came home from vacation and found out that his collection was stolen. Detective Callum was up for the case. There were 3 suspects, all of them were Thomas's neighbors. He said that the collection of action figures had been stolen and asked what they had been doing during the holidays. Sydney said that she was in the neighborhood. She was working but had nothing to do with the figures. Mateo said that his grandma is staying with him, so he's always with her, and he couldn't find any room for 500 action figures at his place. Gideon said that he wasn't even in the neighborhood and had just come back himself. Who stole the collection? Mateo. No one mentioned how many figures there were in the collection, but he knew somehow. Samantha, a rich woman, found out that someone had stolen the money from her wallet. There were 3 people in the house: Malcolm, a cleaning man, Grace, a gardener, and Sebastian, a boy who walks her dog. She reported the case. The police took the fingerprints but only found those of Samantha herself. Still, they had the main suspect. Who was it? The main suspect was the cleaning man Malcolm. He's wearing gloves, and that's why he was able to do it without leaving any fingerprints. Annabelle didn't want to go to school, so in the morning, she went downstairs and told her mom that she wasn't feeling well. She said that she had eaten a bit of apple last night, and it must have been poisoned because she'd been feeling unwell all night. However, Mrs. Collins didn't believe her and sent Annabelle to school. Why? There's just one bite on the apple, and it's a fresh one. If Annabelle had left this bite last night, it'd be brown. But it was still okay, which meant it was fresh. At school, Sophie opened her locker and found an envelope. Inside, there was a calendar and a note asking if she wanted to go to the prom. However, instead of the name, there were just several numbers: 17, 2, 30, 25. Can you guess who asked Sophie to prom? The calendar is the key. You just have to find all the numbers and see what name the first letters of the respective months give you. So, 17 is circled in August, so it's A. Number 2 is in December, which gives us D. Number 30 is in April, so A again. And finally, number 25 is May 25, so it's May. Seems like the guy's name is Adam. Too bad there are 13 Adams at her school. Elsie walked into a party store to buy something. She learned that 1 costs $1, 17 costs $2, and 103 costs $3. She needed 22. What do you think she's buying, and how much should you pay? She's probably buying birthday candles for a cake, so each candle costs $1. She needs 22, which is 2 candles, so she'll have to spend $2. You're a treasure hunter, okay? Today, you'll find yourself on an island. There, you'll need to crack twisted riddles, figure out the main mystery, and find the treasure. In the end, you'll calculate your points. Your old friend gave you a map of a small island for your birthday. He told you there were pirate treasures hidden in that place. Of course, you want to find them. You have a flare, a bottle of water, a compass, a flashlight, a phone, and a shovel. You sail to the island's southern coast and go into the jungle. Here, you see 3 roads with signposts. The first sign shows a bear, a lion is painted on the second one, and a pirate flag is installed in front of the third road. Which way should you follow? It's the 21st century now. The pilots have long been gone. Now there are no people on this island. It seems the flag indicates the route the pirates took when they went to hide their treasures. A lion and a bear may indeed live here, so you opt for the pirates' trail. You make your way through the dense jungle, leaving marks on trees not to get lost. Then you notice a small hut. You go inside and see a big chest with a rusty lock. Inspect the room. Is there anything here that can help you open the chest? There's a tire iron in the corner behind the broken chair. The lock seems weak, so you can easily tear it off. You open the chest and see nothing but an old map of the island. There are 3 marked points with treasure on the map. You leave the hut and follow the route to the first place. You find the wreckage of an old wooden ship. You wander over its deck. Suddenly, the boards crack under your feet, the floor breaks, and you fall into the hole. It's dark and cold here. You turn on your flashlight and see a chest. You touch it and hear a growl. A zombie pirate is slowly coming towards you. After a second, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. Why so? The pirate isn't real. It's a hologram. Behind it, a small projector is installed. It creates this digital zombie pirate. You pass through the hologram and open the old chest. There are precious stones inside. You put them in your pockets, get out of the ship, and look at the diamonds. You understand they're fake and made of plastic. You open the map and cross out the dot with the first treasure. Now you go to the second chest. Along the way, you continue to mark trees. You hear some hissing sound nearby. It's a snake. You don't know if it's venomous or not. It raises its head and looks at you. What will you do? Find a long stick and point it at the snake so that the reptile attacks it. Move to a safe distance and wait for the snake to crawl away. Hiss back loudly to scare the reptile off. You need to step back slowly not to provoke the snake. Now, when you're at a safe distance, just go around and continue on your way. The map leads you to a mountain cave. It's very dark and damp inside. You take out a flashlight, but it doesn't work. The battery has run out. You go into the jungle to make a torch out of twigs and leaves, but at that moment, it starts to rain. Look carefully at the cave entrance and think about how you can light it up. The solution is in your pocket. Send the flare into the cave. The dark place gets illuminated by the red light, and you can see a chest inside. The chest is huge, but unfortunately light. Inside, you find one gold coin. It seems real, but where is the rest of the treasure? At this moment, the red light goes out, and you hear the flapping of wings. You look up and see hundreds of eyes glittering in the darkness. Bats. They scream and fly in your direction. You don't have time to run out of the cave, and there are no more flares. What are you gonna do? Hide in the chest. There's lots of space. You jump in and close the lid. Bats fly past you and beat their wings against the chest. There is a crashing sound. You can feel the ground trembling beneath you. Then there's silence. You get out of the chest, go to the exit, and find that it's blocked by large stones. Fortunately, your phone is still working and can catch a signal. You call the rescuers and give them the coordinates of the island. That's not enough. The island is rather big, and the rescuers need the exact location. What will you tell them? You went into the jungle in the southern part of the island and left lots of marks on the trees. Rescuers can find you with their help. That's all. Now you just have to wait. A few hours pass. You've drunk all the water and fallen asleep. The rays of the sun wake you up. Someone has removed the stones and cleared the exit. But who did this? Rescuers or someone else? You cross out the second place on the map and head to the last treasure point. You make your way through the jungle and notice a grizzly bear nearby. It sees you too and stands up on its hind legs. The beast looks extremely unfriendly. You scream to scare the animal away, but it's not working. What shall you do? Run as fast as possible because bears are big and clumsy. Climb the nearest tree and sit there until the bear leaves. Lie on the ground in the fetal position and don't move. Bears run fast, so it'll easily catch you. They can also climb trees. So lie down on the ground and freeze. The bear sniffs at you for a few minutes, then walks away. According to the map, you have already come to the place where the third treasure is, but there's nothing around. It must be hidden underground. Natural diamonds might be here, gold might be hidden over there, and pearls can be right there. Where should you dig? You have already found plastic diamonds. Maybe the ones hidden here are fake too. Also, real diamonds are mined deep underground in rocks. Natural pearls are found on the seafloor. They can't be here. You need to dig the spot with the gold. You take out a shovel and dig for a few hours. You open the chest and put all the gold coins in the bag. Now you need to get to your boat quickly. Night falls. On the way, you meet pirates. They have sabers, parrots, and eye patches. They want to catch you and take away the gold. You understand that they are not real pirates, but just pretend to be them. How did you know that? The first pirate has a watch on his wrist. The second pirate is wearing sneakers. The third pirate holds a sword. There's a price tag on the sword handle. You've exposed the pirates, but they're still going to steal the gold. You run away to hide. You see 3 tall trees. Which one should you climb? There's a venomous snake hidden among the leaves of the first tree. When you look at the second tree, you notice a broken branch. You climb the third tree and wait for the fake pirates to pass by. Why is everything fake here? What's happening? At that moment, you hear someone calling your name. You look down and see a zombie pirate climbing a tree. You think it's another hologram, but the pirate grabs your foot with his cold, bony hand. You scream, and the pirate disappears. Did you see a hallucination? Was it a dream or reality? How do you find out? The pirate was a dream. It was night when you climbed the tree. It's morning now. You've been sleeping on the branch all this time. You get down and go to the boat you used to come here. It's located in the southern part of the island, and you realize you're lost. Because of the fake pirates, you missed your turn. But now, how can you find out where the south is? You need to look at the sun. It sets in the west, so you can figure out where the south is. Focus on the moss. It grows on the north side of the tree. That means the opposite side is south. What shall you choose? Or is there an easier option? You have a compass, remember? You go to the south and come to the shore, but you don't see any boat. You look around the area and realize that someone has dragged the boat into the jungle. How did you know that? There were human footprints and a long trench left by the boat in the sand. Someone was pushing it. You follow the trail and find the boat. It's hidden among the leaves and bushes. But you don't rush to get it because it's a trap. Why do you think so? Behind the trees, you see people's silhouettes. A hand sticks out of the bushes next to the boat. You need to get out of here as soon as possible. You turn around and hear, "Surprise!" These are your friends. They made this quest for your birthday as a present. The whole island is one big theme park dedicated to the pirate's life. All the pirates are actors, and the treasure and the sunken ship are just scenery. The snake wasn't venomous, and the bear was tame and wasn't going to charge at all. There are no real treasures. You get upset, but feel happy at the same time because you've been through a real adventure. Now it's time to see the score and find out how well you've done. 0 to 4 points. It seems you're not used to walking in the wild jungle looking for treasures. 5 to 8 points. You love adventure, but don't act like a professional. You need to train your attention and logic more. 9 to 12 points. Jungle, wild animals, a treasure map. For someone, it's a challenge, but for you, it's fun. 13 to 15 points. You're a real explorer and treasure hunter. You can easily navigate in foreign lands and cope with any problems.
Hey there! Are you ready to get your mind blown by some absolutely stunning optical illusions? Or do you want to check how easily your mind can get tricked? Then watch our 11 optical illusions and let me know which impressed you the most. So here's the first one. Look at it attentively. What do you see here? Most people are sure they're looking at a 3D sphere on a patterned monochrome background. Or maybe you even feel that the ball is suspended in the air in front of some flat surface. In reality, this is a 2D image. The illusion occurs because of how the elements of the pattern are placed. Another 3D image, which is actually totally flat. I don't know about you, but it seems to me that I'm looking at sand dunes colored in a dazzle of zebras. But no, this effect occurs thanks to the different thickness and position of the stripes. Now, look at this picture. Don't take your eyes off of it even for a moment. See? The circles are moving. It's a popular motion illusion. One of the coolest things about it is that it grinds to a halt if you look at only one part of the image. Try it out. And if you start looking around, it begins to move again. Is it magic? These circles might look simple and unassuming at first, but try moving your head back and forth while keeping your focus on the dot in the center of the image. Do you see that the circles formed by the rhombi start to rotate? When you're tilting your head towards the screen, they move in one direction. When you get farther from the image, they move in the opposite direction. And isn't that cool? How about something even more baffling? Look at this image. This grating is moving vertically, right? Not really. It's moving diagonally. This illusion occurs when a diagonally striped pole rotates horizontally around its vertical axis. To the viewer, it appears as though the stripes are moving downward rather than around the pole. Why so? Because you see the pole through a vertical window, which provides you with very little information about what's actually happening to it. Look at this beauty! Doesn't this kinetic illusion make you feel as if the image is both streaming, shimmering, and moving all at the same time? But the picture is actually a bunch of lines of the same color coming from the common center. The next illusion you're going to see is beautiful. The longer you look at the picture, the less static it seems. The image appears to be rotating, even though it's actually not moving, not even a bit. This illusion occurs as a result of your eyes reacting to the size variations of the circles and interacting color contrasts. Wow, isn't this image bright and pretty? But don't stare at it for too long. It can give you a slight headache and make your eyes hurt. Anyway, now that I've warned you, doesn't it seem to you that all these rings are rotating in opposite directions? I know this effect is extremely strong, but I promise it's not an animated GIF. It's a perfectly still image, but the design and colors make it look as if the rings are moving. Hey, look at this 3D purple landscape. Isn't it charming? The only problem is that, I bet you've already guessed, this is not a 3D image. It's the unusual bright pattern that creates this illusion. Here's another 3D illusion. This time, it's a checkerboard that seems to be bulging. Look at it attentively. The squares are perfectly straight. Their borderlines are parallel and perpendicular, but your brain insists this image is domed. The explanation is connected with the dots. They don't actually touch the borders of the squares. There's always a narrow margin, but your brain interprets those margins like lines, which messes up with your perception. And instead of the right angles, some of them seem acute while others appear obtuse. In this image, all of the edges are either vertical, horizontal, or at a 45-degree angle. But does it seem this way to you? I bet your answer is no. And there's one more thing you can do with this image to make it even cooler. Pause this video so that the image is static and move your scroll bar up and down. It'll appear that the illusion also has some element of motion to it. Awesome! Now, how about we try to figure out what makes it possible for optical illusions to trick our mind? I mean, you know 100% that what your eyes are telling your brain is wrong, but you just can't make yourself stop seeing it. Scientists are sure that sometimes our brain may unconsciously bend our perception of the world to meet our expectations. It fills in the gaps using your past experiences. In other words, it's not your eyes that play tricks on you. It's the way your brain interprets the image sent by the eyes. As an expert said, an optical illusion is a mismatch between the visual impression of the actual properties of the object. Anyway, my favorite illusion is the one with bright rotating circles. What about you? Share your opinion in the comments.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.